about the ornamental fishes, we are keeping the fishes or animals in the confined conditions. And when they are in confined conditions, it's very difficult to manage these three components in the their best levels. So the diseases are more common in the confined conditions than in the natural conditions. So the disease generally occurs due to the host environment and pathogens that interaction disturbs. And the another important things here when that cause the disease, that is stress. That is a very most important factor here. So what is stress? Stress is a condition in which an animal is unable to maintain a normal physiological state. So in the stress condition, the animal is disturbed. In that stressed condition, when the animal are disturbed, the immune system has been weakened down, so lower down. So it's decreasement of immune system happen here. So whenever the immune system are low in the animals, and generally the pathogens or the microorganisms are a part of environment, and they are present in the environment, in the water and soil conditions, so where our animals are staying. So when the animals are under stress, when the fishes are under stress, the immune system lowers down, and due to this lowered immune system, the pathogens get chance to attack on the host, on the fishes, and they produce the disease. So stress factor is very important, and almost 90% of the diseases are related to stress. If you want to manage the health of the aquatic animals, so we have to manage the stress factors, and then we have to manage the host pathogen and environmental infections. So the factors which are producing the stress, they are known as stressors, and the stressors may be four types. The chemical stressors, they are related to water quality parameters. The biological one, they are presence of the microorganism and macroorganism in the conditions. Then physicals like temperature. Procedural, these are very important, and we can manage the procedural stress. The procedural stress are based on the handling of the fishes. When we are handle the fish, or during the transportation we are handling the fish, so it produces the stress, and this stress we can avoid. So if you avoid the stress, we can manage most of the diseases. So whenever the stresses are present in the environment, animals give the response. They are known as stress response. So the stressors presence in the environment will be detected by the brain, and they will give the endocrine level that signals gives to the endocrine level, and then animal produce the cortisol and catecholamine, that are the stress hormones. And based on the stress hormones, it's changes in the hematological, metabolic, and hydrominal values start changing. They are known as secondary stress response, and here glucose level has been developed. And after that, the behavioral change will start if the stressors are continuously remain in the system. And after that, if still stressors are present, then fish will die. So these are the important stress related factor. We can know which are the stages, at which stage the fishes are present right now. So which are the common cause of the stress? So basically water quality, obviously we have to maintain the water quality properly. Then social environment. If we are talking about the ornamental fishes, so when suppose in one aquarium we are putting the fishes, so we have to keep the fishes which are compatible to each other. Otherwise, some fishes which are biting to other fishes, or they are competing with each other, then only it will produce the stress in the environment. So social environment may be good for the fishes. So whenever we are keeping the fish, we have to consider the social environment part to remove the stress of the in the fishes. Then handling and transportation, we can manage this stress, our part. Then nutrition. Nutrition is also very important in the fishes. And diseases are occurred due to nutrition. Also, it is very common that produce. So proper nutrition is essential for fishes, or even in the any animals. Then therapy. Therapy also produces the stress. So wherever possible, we have to reduce the therapy part. And the presence of pathogen, obviously it reduces the stress. So these are the common causes of stress, and each level, if we maintain all the causes of stress, almost 90% of the diseases we can manage. So let us go to the second part, the common diseases of the ornamental fishes. So here I will discuss only about some of the diseases, not all, because it's not possible to cover all the diseases. Here, the diseases are two types. Infectious diseases which are spreading from one organism to another organism, and other which are the non-infectious types which are not spreading. So let's start with the infectious type. Infectious diseases are occurs due to virus, bacteria, fungi, and parasites. So let's see some of the viral diseases. So important is lymphocystis disease. Its causative agent is iridovirus. Here in the fishes, you can see cauliflower-like nodular white swelling. Whatever you are seeing in the photographs, that cauliflower-like stuff will forms outside the fishes and the skin. Another important disease there then the leptovirus, that is spring Viraemia of carp. Here the darkening of the skin color become dark, belly become bulge, then eye protrusion of the eyeball, that is exophthalmiacus, then skin and gills hemorrhage will be there, so you can see the red spots on there because of the escapement of blood. Then protrusion of the veins become protruded and inflamed. Then the organ, whenever we are dissecting the fish, we are seeing the organ with the fluids because of the edema. Another important disease is fish pox is due to cyprinid herpes virus. Here it is due to the herpes virus presence. The clinical signs are presence of slightly raised flake on the skin surface. So small flake, first it will form, maybe white in color. And after that, on the surface of that flake, the lesions start, and at last it will form the ulcer, a bigger one ulcer. And fishes get pigmented. Another herpes virus cause the disease known as cold herpes virus disease. So here you can see the clinical sign and the gill. Whenever we are observing the gill, you can see the white pages. And this white pages are generally due to the presence of the pathogens. And when the pathogens are present, they are damaging the cells and cell necrosis occurs. So whenever cell necrosis are there, that area becomes white in color. So that whitened area you can see in the gill part. Then eye becomes shrunken, and scalp patches or blister will be found on the skin. So these are some of the important viral diseases. And let us talk about the treatment. So there is no efficient treatment is available, and some of the viral, or you can say most of the virus are self-limiting, they are limit itself. But then we have to manage the water quality and all other better management practices we have to follow. Then automatically this viral disease are generally they are eradicated. Then whenever we are getting the affected fish, better just keep them out and keep it in the separate environment. Prepare a separate aquarium for that diseased fish. We should immediately we have to transfer from the main aquarium to the separate aquarium. That is very essential. And then immediately we have to try to disinfect whatever things which are present in the aquarium. Then avoid the stress. That is the best way of management. Then we have to manage the water quality and again the feed. So these are the common things we can do for the prevention of the viral disease. So let us talk some of the bacterial diseases. So generally these bacteria are always present in the environment, but every time they are not producing the disease. So the disease occurs when the fishes are under stress. So most of the bacteria, they are the secondary pathogens. So whenever some fishes are stressed or having the disease, then only they can cause the disease. So first important one and commonly found disease, bacterial diseases, fin rot and tail rot. It's commonly occurred. There are several positive bacteria, maybe Aeromonas, Pseudomonas, Myxobacterium. And yeah, this is the common clinical sign. You can find some of the diseases. So here, distended, disintegrated fins we can observe, and at the base, on the tips, on the margins become whitish, and the base of the fish fins become reddish in color. So here we can treat it with some of the antibiotics and disinfectants commonly. That treatment can be done with the feeding or with the batch treatment. So another one, very important one is Columnaris disease. It's a positive agent is Flavobacterium columnare. Here you can see the white page on the upper side of the dorsal fin area, and that upper areas, and the white pages will occur that in this the first photograph, the upper one goldfish, you can see the white page there. So that condition is also known as Saddleback condition, and that's why this disease is known as Saddleback disease. Again, this disease is occurred due to columnare, Flavobacterium columnare. So this is name is given Columnaris disease. Another important thing here is it look like the fungus disease. So that fungus like tuft will form on the mouth part, especially on the that head part and mouth part, it will affect, and tuft will be formed these surfaces. So in the second photograph, you can see whitish coloration on the tip of the mouth. So here the Columnaris disease can be treated with this Kamdhenu treatment, or we can go for the common antibiotics can be used to treat this. Then Mycobacterium is causing the disease known as Mycobacteriosis or fish tuberculosis. So common clinical signs are skin ulcers. Deep ulcers will be found on the fishes. Then fishes get emaciated, the slenders and weaken. Fishes will be observed in the tank. Then fishes get loss of equilibrium, so it's difficult to swim. Exophthalmia, the protrusion of eyeball, and the dropsy condition also will form here in this disease. And if we dissect the fish, we can find the white nodule in the kidney, muscle, and spleen, the common organs here. So common treatment here is batch treatment with some of the common antibiotics, and the disinfectant also can be used as a treatment measure. Then Aeromonas hydrophila complex, that is Aeromonas hydrophila, Aeromonas shortia, or Aeromonas veironi is causing the disease in fishes. They are known as Aeromonas motile Aeromonas septicemia. These are the motile bacteria, that's why the name is given as a motile Aeromonas septicemia, and it's maybe occur due to all the three of this pathogen, Aeromonas hydrophila, shortia, or veironi, or it may be anyone. And again, it is known as Aeromonas hydrophila complex because the identification of these three are very, very difficult. They're almost same. The clinical signs here, exophthalmia, abdominal distensions, and the ulceration. So these are the common clinical signs we found in the motile Aeromonas septicemia. So treatment is, we can treat this fish with the common antibiotics, or potassium permanganate can be given. Then ulceration, this again a common one, and there is a common clinical sign again in the most of the diseases, ulcer formation, and general positive agent here is ulceration or for the especially Aeromoniasis, is Aeromonas species. So skin lesion here will be blood outside in the periphery, shallow open sores will appear, and fin become eroded, and mouth part also become eroded. So Kamdhenu treatment we can give, or some common antibiotics can be used for the bath treatment as well as for the feeding purpose. Then Myxobacteria, so producing the affecting the gill and causing the disease in the gill area, that is known as bacterial gill disease. So here also the same condition you can observe that it enters into gill cells and goes into cell necrosis here. So necrotic area, white pages we can find here in bacterial gill disease. And because of the more slime conditions, high slime presence, fusion of the gill filaments occurs. So alkyl benzyl choline chloride can be used for treatment, or other some antibiotics can be used. Again, Dropsy, the positive agent Aeromonas hydrophila, but it's the common one in the most of the diseases, that Dropsy condition. So Dropsy is accumulation of fluid in the abdominal part, abdominal cavity. And because of this accumulation, the belly portion become bulged. And another important clinical sign here is protrusion of the scales. So the scale eruptions will be there in the maybe all over the food. And this Dropsy condition can be treated with these Kamdhenu treatment, or some of the antibiotics can be used for bath as well as in. So these are some of the common bacterial diseases that are found in the ornamental fishes. So there are some of the list of the common antimicrobials which are used in the ornamental fish, that is amicacins, cifracidin, and these fluorphenicol, kanamycins, oxalic acids, oxytetracycline. But again, when we are using these antibiotics, only used if it is required. Otherwise, if it is not required, just don't use the antibiotics, because there are several side effects of this because it produces a resistance pathogen. And all the whatever antibiotics we are using nowadays, they are not that has been approved one. So only 3 antibiotics is still now approved by the Food and Drug Administration. They are oxytetracycline. Then Romet 30 is a combination of 2 drugs, that is sulfa-dimethioxins and the ornithoprim and fluorphenicol. So these 3 drugs are only that approved by the Food and Drug Administration for the aquaculture. So for the aquarium fishes, we can use this the over-the-counter drugs. Now let us talk about some of the common fungal diseases. So these fungal diseases are generally due to this saprophytic nature. So fungus are saprophytic basically. So cotton wool disease or Saprolegniasis, the positive agent is Saprolegnia parasitica, and it's easily identified based on this cotton-like growth over the fish skin or on the fins. So it's very easy to diagnose the cotton wool disease. So here we can treat it with this salt solution, common salt, Kamdhenu treatment can be used here. Then Branchiomyces that affect the gill portions basically, and it causes the gill necrosis, the white patches on the gill, and mucus secretions and discoloration in the gill tissues will occur in this. So treatment here is a bath treatment with the salts, and the Kamdhenu treatments here, the common treatments can be used for the fungus to eradicate the fungus. So again, these are the common therapeutic agents can be used for treatment of the fungal diseases, that are the benzyl choline chloride, copper sulfate, formalin, hydrogen peroxide, malachite green, sodium chloride, and some of the topical things we can apply for the antifungal medicines. Let's talk about the parasites. So parasites are 2 types: protozoan parasites and the metazoan parasites. So let us start with the protozoan parasite first. So very important protozoan parasitic disease is white spot disease. It's or itch, Ichthyophthiriosis. The positive agent is Ichthyophthirius multifilus. And again, this disease is very easy to identify. It look like white nodules or white spots on the skin, or sometimes it look like sprinkled salt over the surface. Very small, minute white spots will appear on the skins and on the fins. So treatment here is we can use the malachite green oxalates and the bath treatment with the sodium chloride solution. Then Trichodinia is another another disease, Trichodiniosis. due to Trichodiniosis. Darkening of the skin, mucus secretions, and the pale gill. These are the common clinical signs. And the treatment is bath treatment in the formalin or in the Kamdhenu solutions. Then the Postiasis, the Postia species produce the another disease that is known as Postiasis. Clinical signs are the heavy and labored breathing, so fish start breathing heavily, and the discoloration of the skin, having the huge mucus secretion, fast mucus secretion, and the fish are rubbing their body with the surface. Generally, treatment is bath treatment in the formalin or malachite green solutions. The hexameta is another parasite which is produce a disease that known as hole in the head disease. Generally, discus and other live cichlids are more prone to this disease. It produces these small holes in the head, and that tiny parasites will hide in these holes. And also, it affects the lateral line and cause the ulceration in the lateral line, and the fishes will show the loss of appetite. So here, common treatment is with the help of metronidazole. You can give as a batch treatment, 4 to 6 milligram per liter for 3 consecutive days, or mix metronidazole 50 milligram per kg in the feed per body weight, and provide the feed for 5 consecutive days. The Oodinium or Oodinosis is also known as velvet disease. It's another disease which look like velvet appearance that the page, the fish skin and the fins will form some patchy area, and that pages look like velvet. So that's why this disease is known as velvet disease. So fish also shows the sign of irritations. So this disease is very highly contagious, so it spread very fast. So immediately, whenever we see these type of pages, immediately we have to remove the fish and keep in this spreading very. Batch treatment is the malachite green, and the formalins are the common treatment for this. The Plethysphora is producing the potent disease. This is known as neon Tetra disease. It's affecting the muscle parts and cause the muscular paralysis. Affect the muscles particularly. So fishes get normal that fading will occur here. Color will be faded, and muscular paralysis, and fin degenerations, and the death happen in this disease. So in the parasitic disease, the another one, they are the metazoan parasites. So basically, or most commonly found gill flukes and skin fluke. And the positive agents here are the Gyrodactylus and the Echinogyrus. So Gyrodactylus is known as skin fluke. It's affecting the skin as well as gill. Dactylogyrus is using the gill fluke, affecting the gill part. So here the common clinical signs are fish scrapes itself against the objects to remove this common parasites. The gills and the body covered with the thick mucus. So mucus secretions become high, and scale and whatever the scale from that, the pink color fluids are oozing out from the body, and it mixes with the mucus. So here common treatment is Diptrex can be used, and the formalin bath can be used for removing the Gyrodactylus and Dactylogyrus from the environment. So these are the some of the photograph of Dactylogyrus, and the Gyrodactylus is having the hooklet, and through that hooks can attach the surfaces. Another common one is fish lice infestation, Argulosis. So Argulosis again, whenever you see the fishes, you can see the white button-like structure on the fishes, and by taking you can observe this small parasites attached on that. So fish trying to rub itself in the objects. So hemorrhagic ulcerative syndromes, lesions you can find here. So whenever the Argulosis are attached or sucking the blood, at that area become reddened and hemorrhagic. Here prolonged bath treatment with trichlorophone can be given, or a salt solution can be used, or a batch treatment with a Kamdhenu solution for removing of the this parasite. Another common one is the Lernaeasis, interworm infestation. So the fishes, you can see the white thread-like structure attached on that. They are Lernaea. They are also having the hooks. Through that hooks, they are attaching and sucking the blood from the fishes. The fishes try to scrape itself by rubbing the body from to the objects, and we can see the inflamed areas wherever this Lernaea are attached on the cells. So here, Kamdhenu treatment and NaCell treatment can be given. Nematodes are also a very common one. They are found. They are found in the intestines and the stomach. So these nematodes also sometimes we can see they hang out in the anus and in the fecal matter, also in the water. So we can find these nematodes. Those it's come out from the body. Then fish become emaciated, it's weakened, and the body gets slender. Then the growth becomes stunted. The fishes may die because of this nematode, presence of the nematodes. So anti-helminth penbendazoles can be used in the feet for 3 days, can remove the nematodes infection. So these are the common parasitic diseases, and these are some of the parasitic treatment you can give. So these are all the parasitic treatment can be used in the ornamental fishes. So these all are the infectious diseases. So they are spreading from one organism to another organisms. Another important are the non-infectious diseases. They are not spreading, but they are important. The first important one is scoliosis and lordosis, and this is occurred due to nutritional imbalance, basically due to the vitamin C deficiency. So we have to provide the vitamin C in the sufficient amount, should not be higher or lower. And the scoliosis and lordosis is known as the broken back disease. So here the vertebral column is affecting and fishes become bent. Another one is constipation. Here, if you are not providing the proper nutrition, proper diet, hygienic diet, then constipations may occur. So here constipations can be identified by attachment of the fecal matter in the veins. So that is the one way of identifying the constipations. Then the fish are become weakened, emaciated. Another one is known as brown blood disease, or it is also known as methemoglobinemia or new tank syndromes. It's nitrite poisoning, so it's an environmental disease. So whenever the nitrate poisonings, nitrates are higher in the tank, so brown blood disease occurs. Another one is gas bubble disease. So when accumulation of gases are higher, and the gas accumulated in the tissues in the body produce the gas bubble disease. So here all the diseases can be managed with the environmental parameter management and the proper nutrition, and be used for the removal of this non-infectious type of diseases. Now disease diagnosis. So disease diagnosis is very important for the proper treatment. So first disease diagnosis can be done with seeing the clinical signs. So these are some of the common clinical signs. We can see the sluggish behavior, then movement, change in the movement, and pigmentations, the body, the coloration, change in the color, then popeyes or the exophthalmia, hemorrhage, erosion of the mouth and fins, then gill erosions, tail portion, distended abdomen or the dropsical conditions, then protruded vents, and blood oozing, or you can say it's hemorrhages or ulcers. They are the common. Furuncles also, boils can be developed in the, on the surfaces. The presence of external parasites can be identified directly. Potent wool-like growth, These are some of the external clinical signs. So gas-filled hollows to bodies, aside fluid accumulation in the cavities, hemorrhage in the inside internal organs, liquid in the air bladders, white nodule formations in the organs, and swelling of the organs. So these are the common clinical signs. So external sign, whenever we see the external sign, immediately we have to remove the fish and keep it outside and another aquarium and then observe it. And after that, if fish is died, we have to dissect it. Then we have to do the necropsy examinations and we have to find the internal clinical signs. So this is the primary things. After getting the the clinical signs, immediately we have to take the water and find out the water quality analysis. So any problem is there in water. And immediately after starting, if observing first clinical sign, immediately you have to remove the fish and keep it into the another tank. So that tank, we can say hospital tank, where separation will be there. Fish are keeping in separate tanks. And again, this hospital tank should be clean, made up of glass, so we can observe the fishes continuously. And anything we should not add here in the hospital tank, should not add any sand or grains inside the tank. So it should be clean and clear. So here we have to observe the fish for some period of time, and we are keeping the fish separated from the other animals. After putting them that in the hospital tank, then we have to start observing the clinical signs. So we have to note down all the clinical signs, and then we have to give the anesthesia for the next procedure. So here for common anesthesia we can use are the MS 222 generally used for the fish anesthesia. So another common ways of diagnosis is fin scraping. Then take the mucus outside from the skin and then observe them in the microscope. So outside, if any bacterial infection is there, bacteria are present, or parasites are there, or any fungus infection is there, it can be seen here with the skin scraping. And similar way, we can take these samples from the gill. We can take the mucus collection from the gill areas and observe in the microscope. After that, the biopsy we can do, we can cut a small portion of the fin and gill and then put in the slides and stress it and then observe in the microscope. So any disease condition related to parasites, bacteria, also can be identified here. Then collect the fecal matter from the environment, and then the collected fecal, then collected fecal sample, then observe in the microscope. Then take the blood and examining the blood, and then if the fish is died, then we can go for the necropsy conditions, necropsy procedures. So in the necropsy procedure, we can go for the internal organ analysis and identification of the any things is present in the internal organs or internal. So these are some of the common practices we can do. Other things we can go for this histopathological analysis or then microbiological analysis for the bacterial and fungal isolations, and the cell culture for the virus identification, and also we can go for the PCR and ELISA type of test for final identification of the diseases. So these are some of the disease identification tools. Now, the last portion here is health management. So again, in the health management, if we talk, again, we have to take care of these three important parameters. That's the host, pathogens, and the environment conditions. So the disease occur in the host, which are generally susceptible. So whenever we have to take care of the susceptible host, which are susceptible to some of the diseases, so that susceptible disease we have to take care of more. So what should we do for the susceptible host or for the host for management of diseases? So first important thing is we have to manage the stocking density here. So we have to stock as low as possible the fishes in the aquarium or in the ponds so that we are managing the stress level of the fishes. Then stress management also we can do by handling and all other things, transportation related matters and all the stress we can manage. Then important things here for the health management of the host is, again, it's immunity boosting, because anything enters in the body, first it will enters and then it has to fight against the immunity to cause the disease, produce the disease. So if we boost the immunity, then almost we can, if the pathogen are present, even infection is there, then also the disease may not appear due to this good immunity. Okay. So this immunity we can develop by several ways. The important one is vaccination. So vaccination are the biological preparation. There are several vaccines we can use that enhance the immunity. Again, immunity here are two types, specific immunity and non-specific immunity. So vaccines, when we are giving the vaccines, it requires or it enhances the specific immunity specifically, and also sometimes it goes for the non-specific immunity. So, and the vaccine, again, the problem of the vaccine here is we don't have enough number of vaccines we have with us right now. Only some of the vaccines are present in aquaculture that we can use here. But it's not possible to prevent all the diseases here. Okay. Again, the vaccine is for the particular pathogen only. So that particular disease we can prevent by using the vaccination. So the another important things we can use for boosting the immunity, they are immunostimulants. They are the chemicals we are using, we are adding in the feed and we are giving. They are immunostimulants. They are stimulating the immune system. So here immunostimulants. So the vaccination, when you are giving the vaccination, so the immunity will build up for the longer period of time. But when we are using the immunostimulants, that immunity might be for the shorter period of time. So that is the great disadvantage of application of immunostimulant. But here, when we are adding the immunostimulants, it specifically develops the non-specific immunity, and non-specific immunity is very, very important. We can say it avoids or it will work for all the pathogens. It is not only for the bacteria or virus or fungi, but it works for all the main pathogens and stop that prevention or that entry and fight against it. So immunostimulants are very, very important things because we don't have vaccine for all the pathogens. Better we can go for the immunostimulants for boosting the immunity and fight against the most of the diseases. Again, because it's a short term, we cannot use continuously the immunostimulant, but first we have to find out the stress condition or the condition when the disease development is very common at the ocean. Suppose if we want to transport the fish, so before transportation, before 1 week, we have to start giving the immunostimulants. So within the week, the immunity will start developing, and fish get the high immunity, and they can withstand from the stress. And even if any pathogens are present, they can fight against the pathogen. Even during the treatment, if you want to give to treatment, we can give the immunostimulant first for building the immunity. Or if there is a particular condition or environmental change will occur at that time, certain particular diseases are appear more. At that time also we can use the immunostimulants. So the immunostimulants are having the wide applicability. Other things we can use, they are the use of the probiotics. So probiotics generally we are fixing, and that probiotics, they are the beneficial bacteria. We are applying that beneficial bacteria goes in the intestinal areas and it builds that colony cell, and then that prevent the attachment of the pathogenic bacteria at the intestinal part, and also it will have the beneficial effect like growth, and also it will provide some of the vitamins. So probiotics also is a good idea of for the health management portions. So this way, by building the immunity and by reducing the stress, we can save our host, and we can do the health management. Okay, what we can do for the pathogens? So pathogens again, so generally, the pathogens are present, always present in the environment. So they are naturally present because we cannot remove the pathogen from the environment. So what why the disease occurs? Because of that virulence. So some pathogens get the virulence, and due to this virulence, it affects the in producing the disease, and also due to the stress conditions. So for maintaining the pathogens, we can go for the proper quarantine for avoidance of the pathogens. We can go for the biosecurity measures, and proper diagnosis is also important. And after the proper diagnosis, we can treat the pathogens, and we can remove the pathogen from the system. Okay, by this way, we can go for the prevention of the pathogens, and we can do the health management. Another thing is the environmental condition, environmental parameter management, so that parameters we can manage by water quality and the feeding management. So let's see about biosecurity. So biosecurity is some of all the procedure in place to protect ornamental aquatic organisms from contacting, carrying, or spreading the disease. So here, three things we have to remember. We have to avoid the contact, avoid the spreading, and avoid the carrying of the diseases or pathogens particularly. So if we have the proper biosecurity, we can avoid the entry of the pathogens particularly first. So for the biosecurity, only three things we have to remember here. So basic principle here is, first we have to identify the pathogens. So which organism we don't want to enter or we don't want in our system here in the pond or in the aquarium. So identify that particular pathogens or organisms and try to keep them out. That is the basic principle here, keeping them out. Don't let in our system. Or by some of the way, the pathogen entered in system. Now, so now the thing is, stop the spreading. That is very, very important. Even suppose we have 3-4 aquariums, so in one aquarium the fishes are having the disease, particular disease, we have to take all the biosecurity measures so we can stop the spreading from one aquarium to another aquarium, or in the pond from one pond to another pond. We can so this is the basic principle of the biosecurity. So here we can go for this biosecurity measures by several ways. First is we have to avoid the movement of the fish. So these are the things, these are the 5 different ways by which the pathogen can enter. By the fish movement, by the we are purchasing the fish or we are selling the fish, so that time the pathogens may enter or may goes to the other places. So that fish movement we have to restrict. Or here quarantine facilities are very much helpful here. Then water source. So whenever we are taking the water from water, whatever water we are using, that first we have to disinfect properly, and then only we have to use. Then health management is again very important. We have to boost the immune system, and if any disease is there, then we have to treat it properly. So health management is again important. And equipment and vehicles are also very much important here, because they are carrying the certain pathogens, they are helping the spreading the pathogens from one place to another place. So we have to treat them very effectively first, both equipments and vehicles which are using for the transportation purpose. And the vectors like the animals and the humans are also one carrier for this pathogen spreading. So animal like mice and rats, dogs, and other animals, they are also spreading the pathogens from one place to another place. So we have to avoid that. And visitors entry, we have to restrict as much as possible, or we can adopt some of the things like that foot bath we can apply, or the washing hand properly before entry of this premises, that can be done. These are the common things in the biosecurity. Then the important one is quarantine here. So quarantine is very, very the first step to prevent the entry of the pathogens. So here in the ornamental cases, ornamental fishes, so it will be collected in the naturally by some persons. They are collectors. So they are collecting the fishes, After collecting, they are selling into the brooders that develop, who are developing the brooders, and then they are selling to the hatcheries, and there is a long chain till it reach to the retail market and hobbies. So at each point, the fish is getting stress at each of these contact points. And transportation is very common in all these points. So most of the fish is having stress, and whenever they are in stress condition, so occurrence of diseases are more common. And here in this chain, almost 50% of fishes are dying before it reach to the retail market or in the hobbyist. So we have to take care here in all the portions because they are in the stress and the diseases are more common here. Again, let's see about import and export trades of the ornamental fishes. So it's very common. We are sending and exporting and importing fishes. So here, import-export is support. We have to take care because some exogenous or the pathogens from the outside of the country may reach or may enter into our country also. So it's somewhat very dangerous, you can say. So quarantine facility here is very, very important to avoid all these entry points. So what's the quarantine? Quarantine is keeping the newly arrived animal or plants in the isolation or observation without any direct or indirect contact with other animals to prevent spread of the pathogens and treat if necessary. So we are keeping the things, we are keeping the newly arrived animals and plants in the separate system. So it is known as quarantine facility. So in quarantine facility, separate system where we have to keep everything separate. So tanks are separate, and whatever instruments we are using the scoop net and all the nets we are using there, that should be separate. Keep them, everything should be separate from the main areas or the main aquarium systems. So again, the quarantine system, we have to observe any clinical signs are there or not, or if they have some diseases, or if disease is developing or not. If the pathogens are already present, so meanwhile they may develop some of diseases. And again, this is diagnosis, so we have to do it the quarantine facility if possible, and then so we can avoid the entry of the pathogens. Again, the quarantine periods. Quarantine periods are varies based on the species and temperatures. Generally, the quarantine period is 15 days to 21 days. This is just common practices. And for brooders, it is a little bit larger, so just to keep for 30 days period of time. So this is about the quarantine system. So this is about the health management of the fishes. So we can manage the health, and we can prevent the entry of the pathogens in the system. So it's about the management of the diseases in the fishes. So now when we are contacting the fishes, we have to take care of human health also, for which whoever is handling the fishes, that also we have to think of. So they are known as zoonotic diseases. Zoonotic diseases are the diseases spread from the lower animals to the higher animals.
Prakash sir, present your screen again. Someone has
okay.
Again do the present, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
So the zoonotic diseases are the diseases that spread from the fishes to the humans. That also we have to consider, because that's also important, which helpful in the human health. So generally, mycobacteria are the more zoonotic in nature than Staphylococcus, Streptococcus, Aeromonas, Vibrio. So these are the common pathogens or common organisms which are present in the aquatic environment. They are spreading the disease, or spreading or can move to the humans also, and they are causing the zoonotic diseases. So how we can prevent the disease, or who cannot handle the fish? So the person who is having the wounds, or the skin is not proper, not intact, if wound is there, then if you are handling the fish and if you are putting your hand in the aquarium system, so that pathogens may enter directly from your that wound area to your that system and cause the disease. And the immunocompromised persons who is having the lower immunity, that also producing the problem here because of that lower immunity that pathogens may cause the disease. So here, how we can prevent the zoonotic disease? Always wear the gloves. So it's a very good practice. Whenever we are handling the fish in the aquarium or in the ponds, wear the gloves so that direct contact of the pathogens may not occur here. And after handling the fish, immediately we have to wash our hand. We have to properly disinfect the things. So by this way, we can prevent the zoonotic disease. So all this about this, I have explained about the diseases and their health management. And treatment is we have to keep it the secondary, but before that we have to go for the prevention. So this prevention is very best management practice, you can say, for the to get the high price in the fishes, so we can save the cost which we are doing for the disease treatment. So always prevention is better than cure. And thank you for listening. This is all from my side.
Thank you very much, sir, for a wonderful presentation. And actually, this is a very nice presentation that you have covered each and every aspects about the disease management and all that. So, dear participant, session is open for discussion. If anyone have any question, please you are free to ask. Shashi Priya madam is having one question, sir. Are these diseases common for both freshwater and marine water aquarium fishes?
Sometimes that Pseudomonas related diseases are sometimes the common. Some of the viral diseases are also some of the common diseases that are present in the aquatic fishes.
Yeah.
Hello, sir. Myself, Raj Naresh. Sir, can you suggest some of the best management practice for household persons who are keeping aquarium?
Yeah.
Like,
so
these are the very scientific method, but as a common man, when I am keeping aquarium in my house, I don't have much facility and background. So, what are the common best management practice we should follow?
Yeah, so you have one aquarium, so the basic aquarium you have, right? So in this aquarium you are keeping your fishes there. So suppose you want to purchase a new fish first, or you are preparing your that aquarium. So here what you are doing, you are purchasing the fish from the shore, and directly you are putting the fishes into your aquarium immediately. Right. So this is the not good because the fishes may contain some of the pathogens. So what you have to do, you have to do the quarantine first. Just keep a separate aquarium for, and then whenever you are purchasing the fish, you just use that fish. You take that fish and keep it in the another aquarium, separate aquarium, and then you manage it for at least 1 week or 10 days. You keep there and you observe the fishes if any things is there or not. If this is there or any clinical signs are there. Then only if you are sure that there is nothing, then only you take that fishes and put it into the main aquarium. So this is the basic one you can use.
Other than any other regular, like once we have kept, then in what we have to common practice we have to follow.
Yeah.
Like water, how regular, often we have to change the water, or any other. Now they are giving this blue color medicine and all. So how long and what is the dose we have to keep?
Oh, okay. Actually, whenever you are purchasing in medicines, so that is based on that some of the companies they are preparing. So when you are purchasing, so in the wrapper, it is everything is given. So how much you have to give and what should be applied. But basically, you have to manage feeding management is very important. First one. So most of the times, we are feeding a higher amount in the fishes. So whatever the left feed will remove in the bottom and then deteriorate the water quality parameters. So that we have to avoid. And other things, that the cleaning of the things, like if we are using the net, so every time we have to use this Kamdhenu solution that puts some permanent net. Then dip every time and
Hello.
Hello. Voice is not coming.
Yeah, someone has started his mic, sir. I have muted. Actually, I think Prakash sir has lost the connection. 1 minute. Prakash sir, please unmute your mic, sir.